we go. Hello. Yeah, I think it's working. Okay, hello. Hi, I'm SolarLune. I'm an independent game developer. I'm the creator of Tetra3D, Master Plan, a few things. It's been a while since I've streamed, and it's good to be back. Good to be back indeed. Let me move myself from the corner over here. This seems to be good. I can make myself a little smaller too. Am I streaming in like 1440p? Oh, 1880p, something like that. Okay. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. Carl Otto says hello. Hello. Good to be here. Also, actually, me make sure this hold up. Okay. I should do it. All right. So I'll quit Discord here and get going. So hello, I'm SolarLune. I'm an independent game developer. I'm a creator of Master Plan and Tetra3D. So today we'll be doing some Tetra3D development. I have done quite a bit on Tetra3D, quite a bit since the last stream. So I'll be going through a little bit of everything. Well, I guess firstly, how's everyone doing in chat? Or everyone in the future, if you're watching this later. Hope everything's going well. So to start, man, there's a lot actually that I've done. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go through everything to kind of show everything, but yeah, I'll show kind of the main stuff. Also, excuse my dog outside barking. All right. Okay, so I added ray testing. So if you're unfamiliar with what this is Tetra3D. It is a 3D renderer that I made myself. Wrote myself in Go using Evitingen for rendering. And it works pretty well. And I added ray testing. So that's what this example shows. Basically, as you look around, the center of your screen is basically where the ray is thrown. And if it touches a face, a wall, a cube, whatever, it'll that we can get that information. And in this example, we're creating a little like pin that points to that direction, and it also works according to the mouse cursor as well. So that's really cool. I added the ability to do normal rendering, which is good. So for example, all right, hold on. No, did it break? Did I do something that breaks it? No. Okay, that works. So normal texture is just not working. Fez Pazarino says, good to see you again alive. Yeah, good to be alive. Good to be here alive. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking, or thank you for letting me know that you appreciate I'm still alive. But yeah, everything's going pretty well. Right now I'm just basically stepping through the different changes I've made. And right now I'm trying to figure out, I guess actually we could probably, no, we can't do that. Okay. Right now I'm trying to figure out exactly what the issue is here. Hold on. Okay, that definitely seems to be working. Let's see. It must have changed something. I'm just not sure exactly what it is. XYRGBA UV or XYUV RGBA. Maybe that's what it is. Let me see here. XY R yeah UV and the RGBA. Okay. Let me check something out real quick, because this was working previously and now it's not. Depth vertices, depth vertices is this. Nothing is rendering and I'm not sure why. Hold on. Hold up, hold up. Okay, that works. So why is it that when we do this? Okay, for some reason this wasn't working previously. So this works, it's just normal rendering that's not working. Very strange, because I tested this previously and was working perfectly fine. How strange. Okay, let's just do some basic tests here. Okay, that works. Music. Let's get some music. Okay. It's a little loud. No. Let's go with this for now. And enable it. Okay. All right. So let's see. This should be working. Is it just... Okay, that's working. So I think the issue is maybe that I wasn't passing the rect shader options, which is important because the color shader depends on it. Okay, that's why. All right. Okay, so here's basically normal rendering. So normal rendering is really good because this allows you to, like for example, well, it's usable for small scale scenes. But if the scene is too complicated, it's going to bog down rendering because it needs to render the depth texture, the color texture, and now also the normal texture. But this can be useful if you're rendering your sprites. So for example, you could have a character mesh, a character model, and then pre-render the sprites out before the game starts, and you can generate normal maps with this. So for those who are unfamiliar with what a normal map is, assuming that I have this working correctly, which I think I do, a normal map is basically a texture that looks like this, but it usually is just of a single object, not of, it's not a 3D scene. Usually it's a texture for an object. And the colors indicate basically the direction that that particular pixel is facing. So in this example, if we go like this, you can see it's basically reddish on the right side of this sphere. It turns blue on the bottom left corner, and it's light blue up top. That lets you know basically, or that would allow you to pass this information into a shader so that when you light a scene, you can read this this texture. So for example, you could pre-render your 3D meshes, your character mesh, your player mesh, and then also turn on normal rendering, pre-render that, and then use that in a 2D game for 3D styled lighting. Because when you combine this information, or combine this normal information with a 2D game, you could basically get 3D depth information. So it's very useful for 2D game applications and stuff like that. So I mentioned previously that I added ray testing, which is really cool. So you can do ray testing. You can basically check to see, like this example. Hold on, let's turn normal rendering off. Like this example, what? Oh, that's because we're still rendering that. Okay, color texture, there we go. So this is what that example that we were looking at, this is what it looks like normally. So this is the ray test example where basically the center of the screen or your mouse cursor, basically the camera casts a ray from the camera position to the center of the screen or your mouse cursor, allowing you to do ray tests. So that's really good, really solid. It's a little, slower than I'd like. It takes maybe in this scene, like 100 microseconds to do. I would like it to be faster, but this is fine. We can actually time it. We'll just time it real quick with this. So it's taking, for this mouse ray test, it's taking 100 to 300, 100, 200 microseconds, I believe. So basically we could do like let's say 5 ray tests and take 1 millisecond, which isn't great, but that's not bad. This is a somewhat complicated scene, about 2200 faces or triangles. That's, nothing for a 2D, nothing for a, modern 3D engine like Unity or Unreal, but for a handmade, 3D engine, this is, kind of a lot of triangles. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this. There's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to optimize, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome so far. Something else I added was, let's see. What else did I add, dude? I've done so much. Grid stuff. Tree searching has changed. Basically how you traverse the scene hierarchy is now a little bit simpler. What else? Okay, so it's got something kind of interesting. Let me pull up Blender real quick. Something kind of interesting if we look at this. Do we have it? No. Okay. Let's go to sectors. Nope. We want to go to rays. Okay. So this is just kind of something I find interesting. I don't think I can actually... Oh, can I add a capsule? Is this an actual mesh capsule? I'm not sure if it is. It looks like it is. It's a meta ball. Can I let's see, convert to mesh? Okay. So here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. Like so. Okay, so here's a capsule. We will rotate it. We will now turn on, triangle capsule as the bounds type. We will export. All right, now when we run this, this should work, right? Like it should, yeah, it works like pretty much as you'd expect. Although you see it's a little wonky. Actually, I think I think it might be a little big. Let me see if I can, let me make a custom capsule size. Radius should be, yeah, the dimensions are kind of wonky. Also, the scale is, yeah, scale's a little off. There we go. Dimensions is 1.13, so we'll say the radius is 1.13 divided by 2, so 0.57. The height is this. There we go. Now we'll export this. Now, the reason why I brought this up was just to say, it's kind of interesting because the capsule, works. Capsule ray collision kind of ray testing kind of works, but you can probably see it's a little wonky. You see how you can like drag it down and then it kind of like corrects itself, like right there, bonk, and then boop. How a capsule collision works, because I'm just not that smart. It's two spheres at the ends, and then it's a cylinder in the middle. And the cylinder is not done in math. It is a triangle mesh. So it's actually doing like, a sphere check at the top, a sphere check at the bottom, and then a triangle mesh check in the center, which should be fine. It's not great by any means, but it's fine. I think I probably should do maybe the cylinder first and then the edges. Now that I think about it, because otherwise you get this kind of bad effect, right? Where it's like it's catching the sphere on the inside. That also might be partially because yeah, there might be a couple of reasons why this is a little weird. So let's do something like this. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can kind of see what the effect is. There we go. And I'm just doing this manually rather than saving, because I have the ability to export on save. And actually, now that I think about it, let me increase the text size here. Hold on. There we go. I have the ability to export data on save, so you don't have to like go into this menu and press export all the time. I'm not taking advantage of that because I want it to be, I don't want to actually save this. I'm just looking to kind of, do this for example purposes. So yeah, you can see how it looks a little weird and it doesn't, that's not good, right? So we'll fix that. We'll go to Ray, and we just really, I think the code is fine. It's just a matter of ordering. So we want to check, where's bounding capsule? Is this it? We want to do ideally first the cylinder. And then if that doesn't work, we want to do the top, and then if that the first, and then if that doesn't work, we want to do the last. What did I say here? There we go. And then we can get rid of all right, something like that should kind of get us the result we want. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's see if that gives us a better result. Instantly better, seems like. Hold on. Yeah, let me move it down a little bit so I can just move it out of the room so we can have more freedom of exploration. Freedom of testing, okay. Okay, so there's a problem here. As you can probably tell, it is working on the top, but on the edge it doesn't work, and that's because the cylinder extends all the way up. We don't want it to extend all the way up. We want it basically have it be the height. We want to scale it to be the height, divided by 2, but we also want to subtract the radius from the height. which we'll do here. Carl Otto says the rubber duck effect. Yeah. So basically, as I'm talking, there we go. That's better. Still not perfect. You can see it wears out a little sharp. So I think we probably want to maybe multiply radius by 2. That might be a good thing to do because we're dividing it by 2. I guess another way to think about it, now that I think about that, we could just do something like this instead. Minus radius. That might be better. Because radius is already multiplied by 2 in a sense. There we go. That's better. So you can see here, now it wears off nice and smooth, and then it hits the cylinder right up there. Boom. Nice and smooth. And then from the bottom, nice and smooth. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Far better. Far better. So you can see how, like, you see that little boop, 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 boop. That's the boundary between two triangles for the cylinder. The cylinder is 32 faces, 32 triangles around. So, you know, depending on the size of your cylinder, you might have raycasts that are a little, or collisions, well, raycasts specifically, that are a little like grindy, that are a little like you know, like you're hitting like the edges around the cylinder. So I'm not sure if I want to allow you to customize that because, you know, it's good enough, I think, at 32 triangles. If you're wondering, like, you know, how dense that is, if we, for example, add a cylinder, this is a cylinder that has 32 triangles around, or 32 faces. So it's pretty good. Like, that's pretty solid in terms of smoothness. I don't think you'd really be able to tell for the most part how smooth it was or was not. So I don't think it's a big deal. I'm like, you know, kind of wondering, like, you know, should I add the ability to customize? Let me move this back. It's a heater because I'm cold. I'm cold, okay? But yeah, I'm thinking about adding a function to customize that, but I'm like, I don't really think you need it. I think it's fine for most purposes. So this is cool. We actually just fixed that. I didn't even realize that was a problem, and we fixed it already. So that's cool. So ray testing, that was added. Fantastic. Something else we added was, or something else I added was sectors. So sectors are basically a graphical space partitioning system. So for example, in this, let me turn it off. So in this example, we have these little color-coded rooms. A white one, a blue one, a green one, a tan one, and a black one. And you can, you know, of course, just use near and far plane of your camera to determine what you render or not. Lucretia says, "What's up, Solar? Hello, welcome to the stream for the first time in like 2 months or something. Welcome." So I'm showing off, or not showing off, but I'm showing this sector system. So this is something I added. It's pretty cool, actually. I think it's really dope. Basically, you have your near and far, you know, planes, and of course, you know, your objects being intersecting a frustum, the camera frustum. That's fine, but sometimes you want more control over whether something renders or not. And sometimes you, for example, may not want to render something depending on if it's behind a wall or whatever. So that's where sectors come in. So basically, in this example, each of these little squares is a sector. So right now, we're in the white sector. And if we turn on sector rendering, we're only going to render the other room that's connected to this white room. So we're in the white room. We can only look into the blue room, or we're only rendering the blue room and the white room. If we move into the blue room, the white one will keep rendering, but we'll render one more room forward. We'll render the green one. Because basically the way this works, and it's customizable, is that it's rendering only a certain number of sectors connected to the current one. So because we're in the blue room, we're able to render the green one and the white one. If we move into the green one, the white one will stop rendering. And now we'll also be able to render the tan one and the black one. And if we move into the black one, now the tan and blue one stop rendering. The pillars, these two pillars are separate objects. They're not they're not part of the sector mesh, but because they're parented to the sector, they stop rendering when we move out of the sector and the sector stops drawing. So this gives us a little bit more control over how things render, because it basically gives you the ability to kind of control what gets, where things are and what renders. Lucretia says like manually culling. Yeah, it's like that, except it's manual in terms of like a normal engine probably does something like this. Maybe it might have, this kind of functionality like Unreal or whatever, but it probably also does it automatically. And it probably also has occlusion culling, which is something that I really should implement, but I have not, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. Occlusion culling is basically when something isn't visible, it stops rendering. And specifically when something is not visible because it's behind another object, I believe. So for example, in this example, the other rooms shouldn't render like, if we're looking in this direction, because you couldn't possibly see them. I don't have that kind of know-how yet. So instead, I just opted for sectors because it's relatively simple to implement, and it works pretty well. So now we don't have to worry about like rendering things that, you basically couldn't possibly see. Like if, for example, you were making a game about a exploration in a city, you don't have to like make it so that the outside of the city doesn't draw if you're downstairs in the basement of a shop. Like if you go into a shop and then you go into the basement, there's no reason to even like try to do the collision testing for the rest of the city, because you couldn't possibly see it, right? So let's just go ahead and turn it off. So that's the sector system. Something else I added, and Lucretia says, or rather Carl says, it looks really nice, thank you. And Lucretia says, I'm just waiting for Gearin 2 in 3D, written in Go using Tetra. Honestly, I'd love to do it. I'd love to make a Gearin follow-up or just a reimagining. Give it free to all the people who originally purchased the original Gearin and make this like the new one. I'd love to do that. Okay, so this is an example of a game, a little example game that I'm putting together to try to like kind of put everything together, test out the optimizations, test out maybe ray testing, test out other stuff. And so far it's going pretty good. Lucretia says, I have fond memories of seeing gear in development. That was an era. It kind of was like it's kind of a bop in my mind. I'm not even sure how I made it now that I think about it, because it's like I made an entire game and it was trash, but like I don't even remember like spending years on it, but I spent years on it. It's like I don't remember, but it was dope. It was dope. I'd love to do it again and hopefully get it done in like a couple of months. Ha at that, but yeah, I think all this stuff is kind of coming together to hopefully be cool. Okay, so here's a little example, kind of a PS1 Deus Ex kind of thing, in terms of like, the aesthetic. So we have our scene here, we have our buildings, and basically in this example, this is a sector. This is a sector. Ignore the windows not moving, but this is a sector, this outdoor courtyard area. This room is a sector, this stairwell is a sector, and then this room on the side is also a sector. So this can be useful because in this example, you don't need to render, for example, let's say this room, you don't even have to worry about all of this room if you're in the courtyard because of this snaky hallway. Like basically, if we make the hallway, this little hallway, its own sector, then that means that you could, for example, from this courtyard, render this hallway, but you don't need to render all of this. You don't need to say like, is this visible? We know it's not because you couldn't possibly be looking through the sector, right? Similarly, if you're in this room and you're looking into the courtyard, you don't need to render, for example, the hallway. There's no way you'd be able to see it, et cetera, et cetera. Faz Pazarino says, just a hint, NVIDIA GPU Gems chapter 29 talks about occlusion culling. I looked up that particular white paper. No, I looked up that particular chapter. Occlusion culling is cool. I'd love to do it, to implement it, but I'm not sure how I'd be able to do it in a efficient enough manner. And also it's something that I'm not sure if I can even do it So I have to look it up. I gotta see if I can do it. But in the meantime, this is fine, I think, for most games. And I think it's pretty simple to use. Honestly, it's not very complicated. Lucretia says, "How do you assign the sectors? Like, how does the engine know which rooms are connected?" It doesn't. The rooms are connected basically just by AABB proximity. So this big, courtyard has a AABB that covers like this area. It covers, a room like this, right? Well, actually, let me see. Yeah, okay. So it goes out here. So basically, the AABB comes like this, right? So now this room has an AABB that comes like this. So these two rooms are connected because they're touching. That's it. That's all it is. Are the AABB volumes touching? And if so, they're neighbors. So all you got to do is just go to an object and just check off the is a sector checkbox for any mesh, and it will use the AABB to define basically the size of the sector. This means that a mesh that is a sector kind of has to be enclosed in like this. Like you couldn't have like just a flat plane. It has to have walls of some description, but that's fine for most applications because most games are three-dimensional, right? If you're making a three-dimensional game, you're probably going to have some element of vertical height. And for like PS1 games, especially in this example, you'll probably want something like this where it's an enclosed space. Even if it's supposed to be outdoor, you're probably going to have some sort of like walls or something, right? Lucretia says, does it have to be super precise? No. If it's off by 0.1 units or something, does it still count as adjacent? There's a little bit of a margin around the mesh. So the AABB of the mesh is like right here, like this, right? It counts an additional 0.1 units in every direction. So it goes a little bit out. So it doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be where they're basically touching. They should be touching. And if they should be touching, they are touching, essentially. Carl Otto says some games use invisible walls outdoors to partition them. Yeah. Lucretia says, you check overlapping AABBs? Yes. And Carl says, invisible walls outdoors. Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's the only thing that comes to mind is basically if you have like a flat plane, you don't have anything, you don't have any mountains or anything like that would extend the AABB upwards, then I would need to do something else. I would need to add some, how did I even do that? I would need to add some sort of like customizable AABB width, height, depth, or something. But for now, it works perfectly fine. So we'll show this in this little example. So we're in the courtyard. I also improved the rendering. It used to be that the fog was depth based, but the depth was based off of the position of the vertex post transformation. That's not consistent. Now basically the fog is dependent on distance from the vertex to the camera, which means that no matter how you look around, the fog is always consistent. So it looks mighty good, actually. This looks really good. Yeah, so we're in the courtyard. So we're in this sector. Now we're in the hallway leading out into this sector. So this is a different sector. Yeah, so we can actually visualize this and show what it looks like, but I'll just run through the map a little bit. I'm basically kind of trying to make a liminal space kind of game that's been very popular. I know it's kind of it's an overdone idea, but I also feel like it's fun. It's a fun idea, and it's a good excuse to have creepy kind of aesthetics and stuff. The texture warping is such a vibe. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So we're climbing the staircase. Now we're in this little passageway, and we can look out and see the courtyard. So in game, this sector is connected to this sector because they're just touching, right? If we look at Blender, again, we can see this sector is here, and then right next to it, this is where we're looking out the window. And so these two sectors are touching in Blender, and so they're touching in here. So they're neighbors. We can, for example, go here and go to the render options and say we want just 0 sector-based sector render depth export. And now when we come back, you can't see out from one sector into any others. Vaporwave says, are you cooking? I am cooking. I'm cooking something pretty sick. So yeah, you can see that the sector-based system is actually working really well. When we're in a sector, we can't see into other sectors. We can still move there, and it basically stops rendering the other sectors. So in this sector, from here, we can't see into the courtyard. If we step into the courtyard, now we're rendering that sector. If we step into this small room, now we're rendering this sector, and so on and so forth. And Vaporwave says, hope you're doing phenomenal. I am, thank you. I'm doing pretty, well, not phenomenal, but I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, so that's working really well. So with strategic usage of this, you can, lower how much of your scene is actually visible very quickly. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the system. It works pretty well. And of course you can just turn it off either here, turn it on or off either here, or you can also turn it off on a per camera basis. Well, not also, you can, well, yeah, you can turn it off here in Blender, or you turn it off or on, or alter the settings in game on each camera. So that's good in case you wanted to, for example, have a camera in, let's say in the game, in game, as the player, he can only see his sector plus one neighbor, but maybe from a different viewpoint, you would want a camera that renders multiple sectors. You could make that camera only render multiple sectors. Yeah, so sector-based rendering is working. That's really good. So for example, in this example, this tower with the staircases, this is kind of a lot to render for a PS1 style game. So we could, for example, split this into multiple sectors. We could have a sector at the bottom, maybe two sectors in the middle, and then one sector at the top, which means that when we're climbing, we only, nothing seems out of the ordinary. We are climbing normally, but once we get to the middle, we no longer need to draw the courtyard. If we get to the top, we can draw just the top and this room and the bottom, the middle layer, one of the middle layers. Once we get in here, we can draw the top and the courtyard, but we don't need to draw the base of the tower. So that's really good for performance. Vaporwave says, this is for performance or stylization? It's for performance because this is a handmade, largely software 3D renderer. So it's basically like a PlayStation game. That's why it looks so pixely, and the textures are blending and stuff like that. You could do this in Unreal or Unity. This, this isn't to say like this is the only way you could get these vibes, but this is, this does have these vibes because that's what I'm going for. And this is more like, I think, how they did it, which is basically like trying to figure stuff out, and you're just like, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. Yeah, so this works pretty well. Something else I implemented is automatic mesh subdivision. So let me show you what this looks like. So this is our mesh, right? It's cut up the way that we have it because we have a doorway here, we have a doorway here, we have windows, or a window that you can look through here. So this is, and a hill. So it's cut up like, you're making a game and you want these elements. Working. Hold on. Snowmink says, is there a way to mark other objects on a section so they don't render when this sector doesn't render? Yes. You just parent them. You just parent them to the sector. So in this example, if we go back here, if we look through here, the trees are still rendering, the cube is still rendering, because they aren't sectors, they're just props. Well, all we have to do is parent them and the cube to the sector, and then when the sector no longer renders, those objects will also no longer render. What? Oh, yeah. Wait, hold on. I turned the sector depth back to 0. Or to 1. Let me change it to 0. Okay, so now when we go through here, it looks like we missed a tree, but yeah, you can see that the trees no longer render. The cube no longer renders because all you got to do is just parent it to the sector. So that works really well. If you wanted to, for example, if you had a game where you have NPCs that can go from room to room, you can just parent them to the room that they're in, and then they'll just not render when the sector stops rendering. So it's, it works really well. I think that's a solid solution. It's simple. I mean, like that, and the thing I like about this is that you don't. There's not a lot of like additional features. I want to kind of keep things as kind of basic as possible. So like you don't have to like tag an object and say like, oh, this should follow the sector or this belongs to the sector. You just parent it. And if you want it to, you don't want that to happen, then just don't parent it. Like, that's it. Rather than making it overly complicated. I feel like it's, this API and the system, the systems in Tetra3D try to be as kind of like straightforward as possible, where there's not a lot of like extraneous features or, multiple ways to do something. It's just like, either you do it or there's an official way to do it, or it hasn't been done yet. Rather than being like, there's 5 different ways to occlude scenes. It's like, there's one way to occlude scenes. How about that? How about there's one solid way to do it rather than 5 different ways that get you halfway there. I don't know. It's simple. Vaporwave says the Blender to game workflow is pretty fast here. Thanks. It is. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, so auto mesh subdivision. So the thing about this engine, it's not really an engine, this renderer, it's kind of an engine, but the thing about this renderer is that basically it renders things using triangles, it renders things using triangles, rendering triangles not individually, but in groups through Ebitingen. So it's a 2D, if you're not familiar with Ebitingen, is a 2D game development framework. Works really well. It's fantastic. So that's what makes the triangles, have that classic PS1 style bend and stuff, because it's literally just a 2-dimensional triangle that is bent, that is being bent according to perspective. So this is all the triangles for all the scene, all of this game scene. Now, the thing about this is that in order for this to work, the triangles have to be of a certain size. They can't be too big. In this case, they're basically like, 1 person wide and 1 person deep. So that's fine. But when you're making a game, when you're, making your map, you don't want to have to like subdivide the mesh constantly, right? So I made this system, which is automatic face subdivision, where you can specify how big the mesh edges should be before they get subdivided. And so when you enable this, when you export your Tetra3D scene, it will loop through all of the meshes and subdivide, or the meshes that have this checked. It'll loop through those meshes, subdivide them as necessary, and then export it, and then undo. Well, it doesn't undo, but like it takes those meshes, it subdivides them, and it basically reverts those changes afterward. It restores the original objects to their original mesh. So to you, nothing seems out of the ordinary. You, for example, let me just show it like this. We'll turn off auto face subdivision and export our scene. And that's only on this mesh. So now when we go ahead and run the game, is basically unplayable. Like, this is way too much perspective shifting, affine texture bending. It's horrible. You can't play this. This is, really tough to see. Really tough to read. And if you look at the scene, you can see these are the triangles that we had in our Blender, scene, right? We had a couple of loops here. It's hard to see, but yeah, there was a couple loops here for the doorway, a couple here for the doorway, a couple up here for the window up there, right? So this is basically what it would look like if you just tried to take your scene directly from Blender into Tetra3D, and the scene is just low poly. It's really tough to actually render this, right? To actually like play it. So that's what I implemented to make it easy. So we can just say like, oh yeah, please subdivide this by 2. Export. Doesn't take long because it's not a high poly mesh, of course. And then when we go to play, it's fine. And we can see the scene has been cut up into almost perfect, edge loops. It's not going to be perfect all the time, but when it works, it's extremely good. I'm very happy with this because this took me a long time of like trying different things in Blender and rethinking things, and the edge loops here are like immaculate. They're almost perfect, I'm very happy with this. Yeah, so like Snowmink says, is the lighting and shadows here baked? There's no shadows, it's just lights and fall off from lights, triangles being far from the lights and stuff like that. No, there's no baking in this scene. All the lights are truly dynamic. They're active at all times. It's not perfect. There's no shadows or anything like that, but it's performant enough to be running pretty solidly. Let me turn back on the sector-based system here. Sector-based at 1. Okay. So I'm getting, so now we can see into other rooms. I'm getting, it's like 5 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds, 9, it jumps around. It's about 10 milliseconds here because looking at this sector, it's drawing all the way up here. We don't need to draw all that. Of course, we can just draw the sector, basically the lower sector. We don't have to worry about the others. Now I think about it, if we split this into multiple sectors, it won't. Oh no, this will work because there's a doorway here. So basically, this could be a sector, and then this could be a sector, and then this could be a sector, and these won't trigger. These won't be connected because they won't touch. Yeah. Vaporwave says, my favorite old technique was vertex coloring on the N64. It adds variety to flat textures and easy custom shading. You are correct. And that is implemented as well. I have vertex coloring as well. So you can color something in Blender and it will work as you would expect. So we can be like, oh, let's darken. Oh, I think hold on. We don't have to do this. This is just to show. Let me see. Mix. A should be. Wait, is it mix? Okay, I'm just gonna use this, but this is just to show what it kind of how it kind of works. Hold on. Here we go. That wasn't even the right object. I was like, wait, what's going on? All right, so cement wall. Well, I don't want to even like spend time trying to make it look good. We'll just do it like this. Okay, so here's our object. We're gonna go ahead and do vertex painting. I think this will come through. Paint this, yeah, let's paint it just like that, whatever. Now we export and this should come through. Yeah, so you can see it gets darker here. Yeah, so it's really simple, really straightforward. Paint this part red. Export. Yeah. Super simple. Easy. Fez Pazarino says, isn't there a way to resolve the warping instead of increasing the scene poly count? Yes. I mean, like the right way to do it is to probably just not have a fine, is to basically have perspective corrected texture mapping, which I'm not sure if I can do, because basically if I understand the process of making basically affine texture mapping is this, where it bends according to the camera because the UV values aren't being adjusted according to where the pixels are. So like the closer to the camera these vertices become, the more they bend, like that. Perspective corrected is to basically take this information, take the UV on each of these triangles, and divide it by W, and then like do something else in like for each vertex as it's displayed. But because we're not Tetra3D isn't a full 3D renderer, we're using the GPU to draw the triangles. We would have to do this in a shader, and I'm not sure if we can pass that information to the shader, because basically, in addition to the vertices having their own X and Y position, UV position, and vertex color, we also need to pass this their UVW, or I'm sorry, the W value that you need to divide the UV values by perspective. And I'm not sure if we can pass that information for each vertex when we go ahead and actually render it on screen. It'd be good if we could, because then we wouldn't need to, I believe we wouldn't need to make the triangles more like dense. But that's still a good idea, because our depth texture works by using vertex colors. Vertex colors. So if you don't subdivide your mesh, then you don't get nice and clean depth intersection, which can be problematic. We could counter, basically just like we would counter for perspective corrected texture mapping, we could counter as well. And you can see this exemplified here. You see this warping here. It's because the cube basically isn't high poly enough, more or less. Is that the case? Let me see. Or is it? I mean, like, it's pretty high poly actually, but it could be higher poly, I suppose, and that would kind of cut away this like wave effect, because the depth values of the cube and the ground are too similar. It's not a big deal at far distances, but at close distances, it's obviously a noticeable like problem. So I mean, like, aligning these would be good, or cutting out the ground underneath the cube, or whatever. There's different ways to fix it, but that's kind of a problem with this approach of how this renderer works. It's not perfect. But I mean, this definitely has its own vibe, and it works really well for what it is. And even like if you are rendering individual objects as opposed to a full scene, like for a 2D game, if you're rendering like a coin or something, then you could just subdivide the coin large enough where you wouldn't have perspective warping noticeably, or whatever. Like, there's it's only kind of more of an issue if you're trying to make a higher poly non-PS1 aesthetic 3D game in this renderer, which is like, this is something specifically made for this kind of an aesthetic. Like, it's a handmade 3D renderer, so it looks like a handmade 3D renderer. Whoops. It's fine that it looks like a 3D handmade renderer, because it is. And it's kind of got the problems of PS1 renderers, which is fine, because that's really the maximum you're probably going to be able to get out of a renderer like this is PS1 level graphics. So it's like, it's kind of an answer to a problem that it itself suffers from. Texture warping is a feature, to be honest. I think if you're trying to make this kind of a game, it definitely contributes to, like, this definitely feels like the kind of game that you would see on a PS1, both in terms of graphical aesthetic as well as in terms of how the game is made. Like, it feels like, thinking about sectors and things like that is something that you think about it feels like something that they thought about when they were making PS1 or early 3D games. And we don't really think about it that much anymore, because, now we have occlusion culling and, GPU stuff and, modern game engines that do that stuff for us, as well as that are, better designed. So it's like, you don't need to think about this stuff anymore. But it's fun to think about this stuff. It's fun to think about, like, because the thing, I think part of it, in addition, Like when you have to think about sectors, I think it kind of also encourages you to make more densely populated scenes, which are inherently more interesting to explore. Like I made this tower because I thought it would be fun, and then I'm like, but if I, when I look in this direction, I can see, or I can't see it, but it's rendering all this stuff, and that's slowing down my game. Okay, well, I should make sectors, because then I could be like, let's restrict it to different sectors. Here's a sector, here's a sector, here's a sector, like that. Well, now that I have sectors, I'm like, well, I could like stack stuff together, and I can make certain things like visible from certain areas. And I think it's like when you don't have the ability to just draw everything, you are like, I want to kind of control space better. So like thinking about sectors, I think kind of also helps contribute to the kind of game that is made. Like when you can't draw super far, then you're not going to try to make a game that where you draw super far. You're going to try to focus on smaller areas just by necessity, but that also gives its own feel. Carl Otto says, I would totally put fake windows with textures for the stairs. Oh yeah, you're right. That's missing over here. Snowmink says it would be cool to go back and apply sectors to the little adventure game you were originally making. Yeah. It breeds fear. Yeah, I think that this already feels a lot more interesting in terms of like the design of the world. It feels more intricate, even though I'm not really trying to be more intricate. And I think that, hold on. I just need a drink. Ooh. Yeah, I just feel like this feels more interesting, and I'd like to go back to It Breeds Fear and see what I can get out of it, because it feels like I would get something different now compared to when I started. It's very surreal. Yeah, it's very surreal. It feels surreal. It feels I'm going for a liminal space, game. That's part of it, but it also feels like the engine is kind of like it's got its hooks into me. No, I've never felt so alive. It's like, what's going on? What's going on with this guy? But no, it feels like the engine is kind of like the things I'm adding are things that assist with making games like this in this kind of an engine. And it feels like they would also help me to make an interesting game, if that makes sense. So it's like, oh man, I want to add something, but I maybe, like, for example, if you were making a normal big game, let's say you had a room like this, right? And you're like, okay, I want to put a whole bunch of junk in it. Well, let's say we want it to be visible from, like, let's say you could look out this window. You could say like, okay, well, I don't want to be able to, for example, look out this window. Like, I don't want to draw all of this, stuff in this room. So now you split this into two different sectors. So now you have, maybe it's smaller, maybe, whatever. Like basically the nature of limited draw distances, sectors to deal with, limited draw distances or lower poly counts, or not being able to render millions of polygons on screen. That helps to basically make it so that you have individual like boxes. You have more boxes rather than one big box. You have a lot of smaller boxes that you can rearrange or position to make intricate and more viscerally interesting rooms, because they're not just like, it's not, it just inherently is more tough to make a it's hard to explain. Lucretia says it's the whole limitations allow for creativity thing. Yeah, it's that, but I also kind of feel like, yeah, I think it's that. I think that when you have limitations, it makes you think outside the box and try different things. Yeah. And working within the boundaries of these limitations can help you if you struggle with level design. Like, this isn't really, like, this is an interesting level to explore in terms of like, shapes and stuff like that. Like this is visually intriguing. And I think that if I didn't have this kind of like sector and simple, approach to things, I think I probably would just kind of peter out, because it's like, well, what do I even make? How big should this be? And what am I doing? As opposed to this, where it's like, okay, this sector needs to be, maybe this is the maximum size I can work with. Okay, so let me like squeeze all the juice out of this. All right, now, where should you, it'd be cool if you could look out the window from here and see where you were. Let's do that. Like that kind of stuff. Lucretia says, aside from future updates on Tetra3D, are you working on something? I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna try to just like make more stuff and kind of test out this sector system. Squeeze a little juice out of it, see what happens. So we're gonna do this a little bit. Oh wait, actually, that's something I wanted to do. Oh wait, I forgot. I made something else. I forgot. I talked about it already. I made a video on it. But Tetra3D. So Tetra3D is this. It is this. This is a terminal application that basically shows me what I'm doing in Tetra3D. So in this example, I have my character. He's visible in this. Oops. Hold on. Let me do it like this. There we go. He's visible in the scene tree here, player. So I can like move him around if I wanted to. Manually. I can look at where he is, his position, the rotation of the camera, all that kind of stuff. So I can look at these kinds of additional pieces of information. I can see what the frame rate is, the lighting, time, all that stuff. So that's good. It would be good to see maybe the current sector and maybe which sectors are visible. That would be a good thing to list maybe. And I'd like some way to visibly debug that as well, so I can like confirm that it's working. The sector system is working. Carl Otto says, having less to look at directs the player's attention to smaller details that normally get missed. I think you're right. I think that when, the game is bigger, people overlook things like, being able to look out, from a window onto where you were. Like, that's nothing special in a game where, the windows are real windows. So it's just like, it's an automatic thing that you can look out. But when you are playing a game like this and you get to this point, which I guess we can just do this to make it a little easier. Where's the player at? Whatever. Let me just climb the stairs. When you get to this point and you go to walk out and you notice this window, you're going to stop and look. That's what you're going to do. And I think it's more special, when this is the only window you can look out. And it's like, oh, this is where I was. Like it makes it kind of interesting. Snowmink says, Tetra3D is awesome. It would be cool to see the game rendered in the middle of the two Tetra3D sections. Would look like Godot or something. Carl says, what I meant was fake windows inside the stairs with low-res textures and some silly parallax effect. You mean like inside here? Yeah, I need to probably add some sort of windows. Yeah, I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Exactly. This, I can just parent these to the sector here. Oops. There we go. There's no vertex colors. Yeah, okay. So vertex coloring has been reversed. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I need some way to visualize what sectors are being drawn. I don't need it, but it'd be nice. So we'll put it here, I guess. We'll put it like sector-based rendering on, and then the sectors being rendered. So yeah. Yeah. I'll see if I can do it. I'm trying to see if I can do it the way I want to do it, or if I will do it some other way that isn't as good. But I guess it's fine. We'll do it. I think this should work. All right, so we're gonna add to Tetraterm here. So what this involves is just basically giving more information on the scene update. When we update a scene, or when we connect to a game that's running, it basically gives us this information. We just need to add more. So drawn mesh parts. Here we go. So debug info. Here we go. So I guess we can add that to the camera's debug info, couldn't we? I don't know. Let me think. Do we want to add this to the camera's debug info or not? Fez Pazarino says, any chance Tetraterm is just the bait for the big boy Tetra3D engine? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that this is kind of what I want, is basically a kind of like separation of the things that might constitute a normal 3D engine. I feel like I'm not good enough and it wouldn't be fast enough for me to make a full 3D engine. I kind of feel like, I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure if I have an interest in making a true 3D engine. Unless if I did, I probably would just do it with OpenGL or something like that. Like I probably wouldn't make a Tetra3D game engine. It feels too much work for too little return. I think, as opposed to like, the current incarnation of Tetraterm, Tetra3D being largely a renderer with some physics stuff and some interaction with Blender for usability. Like that's, I think, fine. I think this is kind of a good middle ground where you have some bootstrapping to kind of get into making something quickly, but it's also not like to be used to make a AAA game or something like that. This is not that kind of a thing. Lucretia says similar to BDX's scope. BDX is kind of similar. There's some strong similarities between Tetra3D and BDX in terms of just the overall like philosophy and feel. There's similarities. I think Tetra3D is much better at bootstrapping because Go's modules are really straightforward. Go's ability to just like start up something and like download the stuff you need is really easy compared to libgdx with Java, where it's much more of a process. Yeah, so I mean, like there's some improvements in some ways, but the obvious like lacking point is that this is a PS1 game. It's a PlayStation 1, but like the actual workflow is kind of fire. This workflow is kind of fire. Okay. Never got used to Gradle. Yeah, Gradle with like editing the properties files and like it just never really felt like smooth like Go with its modules, where it's just like, oh yeah, like this is what I need, or go get to get the stuff I want from like oh, I want the latest Tetra3D, let me just go get it. Like I feel like Gradle and Java kind of needs that kind of a simple like straightforward text-based automatic system, as opposed to the current like thing where it's just, maybe that's what it's supposed to be, but it just never really felt that good to use. All right, I'm not gonna worry too much about like how this is working. I guess we'll do it like this. Oh, I see. I need the latest Tetra3D. Can I just get like a double bacon cheeseburger? Can I just get? Can you give me like the latest Tetra3D? I don't remember how to do this. Is it head or master? I don't think it's master. I don't remember how to like. Go get at the commit hash you want. Okay. I mean, I guess I could just put out. I guess I could put out another update just to make it easily snapshotable. Let me do that. I guess we'll just do this. Hold on. What is this? Okay. Okay. Shapes. Okay. Yeah. Fixing that. All right. Vector. What did I do here? That didn't do anything. Ray. Okay. Fix. Cylinder is. All right. And then the camera. Let's see. Depth sorting. Depth. Texture rendering. All right. Just running out to it. Carl says the integration with Blender is great. Thank you. Well, at least I'm glad to hear it because I'm like that's what I'm trying to like get working is just like really smooth Blender integration. And then if you don't want to use it, that's fine. You can just use Tetra3D by itself. But like, if you want, uh, a nice simple approach, then it's like it's really made for that, and it feels good. And I think that that's something that is kind of missing with a lot of engines. Is there's a lot of startup time where it's like you gotta download the engine, you gotta download the template or whatever, download the export tool, and you got to make a new project and put it where you want to put it, and go through all that. And in comparison, Tetra3D is just like boom, you're on. And integration between Blender and Tetra3D is like super simple. And I think that maybe that is kind of a strength because game engines have to be generic. Most engines are made for everything. They're trying to get a whole bunch of customers, so they're made for everything. So it's like uh they have to support maybe different editors, they have to support different use cases, whereas this is like, well, I'm inherently making something that's kind of like a PS1 game. So if you come in wanting to make a PS1 game, you get both something super simple, super smooth, as well as I get basically the ability to make an engine that is tuned for this. And on top of it, you're probably making something low poly, so we can have really smooth workflows. We can do things that might take a little time because you're not going to be working with 50,000 face player character, 50,000 triangle player character. You're going to be working with a 500 triangle player character. So we can maybe make things a little smoother and a little simpler for me as well as for other people who want to use it. This is what I was looking for. I think I want to make this. I want to export this new sector like that. Okay, so that's fixed. And then, oh, hold on. All right. Whipperwave says, or rather, well, let me go in order. Lucretia says, you generally enjoy VS Code. Do I enjoy VS Code? Yeah, I would say so. I think it's fine. I think it works really well. I'm going to change the music. There we go. It works really well. Yeah, lightweight editors are great. And it's like, rather than having something super heavy, just give me a lightweight editor that does what I want. Because, you know, heavy editors might do stuff that I don't need, which kind of coincides with engines, right? Most generic engines do a lot of stuff that you may not need. Maybe with physics, you know, resolution and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't really need to build a full like scene graph, you know, in the physics system. I just need to, you know, check if there's something in front of me. Like that's it, you know, for some games. And so it's like, you know, it can be simple. You're not hearing any music? What? Nah, it should be playing. Vaporwave says, is this an engine or a game? This is an engine. Well, it is a 3D renderer that I'm making, and I'm making a game with it, which basically it's using as an engine. Like it's not really a full engine, but I'm basically toddling my way through making a game anyway. Like, you know, like what is an engine? Like, you know, an engine is just a collection of software that you use to make a game. Usually it has a GUI of some description. So I guess you could call this an engine because Blender is the GUI. But it's not a full engine because it doesn't have sound. It doesn't have input in the engine. That's something that you get from Ebiton for sound and input and the game flow and stuff like that. This is just rendering and the creation and display of 3D objects. So it's like a 3D framework, but none of the 3D game engine or 3D framework, but none of the big stuff, kind of. Like it's just rendering, collision detection, a little bit of space, like partitioning, and that's about it. And then I'm making a game. Oh, VS Code. Yeah, VS Code, not Visual Studio. Visual Studio is bad. In my opinion, Visual Studios, it was like heavy last time I used it, like 7 or 12 years ago, whatever it was. VS Code is light. It's basically just a text editor, and you can add on stuff like syntax highlighting and, you know, language servers and stuff like that. Okay, so this is working. I was looking for something. Okay. I don't remember what I was looking for. This is fine. All right, so we're gonna make a new tag here. I think it's 0.12.1. Yeah. Okay. Grisha says, I hate it. I use Visual Studio professionally. It's very little productivity, more of a burden due to lag. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like it was pretty heavy last time I used it. And yeah, because I'm not familiar, I wasn't familiar with, you know, coding with like C++ or anything like that. So, or even like Java. I think I used VS, you know, Visual Studio just a little bit to like open a solution or something. And it's like, okay, you know, I never learned to make games with Visual Studio. So I was like, you know, okay, I would start something in C++ for SDL or whatever, or FW. And I never really got anywhere. And I just, you know, chalked it up to me being bad, basically. And I was bad, and I still am. But like, Visual Studio was just kind of a laggy, slow experience. In comparison, VS Code is pretty good. Lucretia says the other problem is if it's a huge black box, there's a problem with dependencies or compiling. It's hard to figure out. Yeah, it's true. And C++ specifically is one of those things where it's like you can have so many issues arise. And we can say, there we go. You can have so many issues arise. You can have so many issues arise in C++ where it's like linking errors or like, you can't find the library or it's a different version or whatever. And like, there's so many different problems that can arise with C++ specifically. And so like, having a laggy editor and running into these issues on top of it is just like, it's so hard in comparison, working with Go where it's super simple. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, this is fine. We'll go with that. This is fine. In comparison, Go is super simple. It's not bad. It's pretty good. C was fine before you discovered Go. Yeah, I can feel you. I feel you. Go is it's good. It's simple, and the package management is super good. Music Boy J Boy says, "Yo, what's up? Welcome to the stream for the first time in like 2.5 months or something." Oh, this is a banger. Let's go with the banger. That's why I need to hear. Okay. All right. So we're getting the sector that the camera's in. I guess we also want to know if it's on. Snowming says no music playing. How is it not coming through? It says it's coming through. Is it just super quiet? Let me see. Is that better? Can you guys hear it? Hold on. You guys can't hear this? Hold on. You guys should definitely be able to hear this. Hold on. Hold up. Oh, snap. Hold on. Is this something like... Because it's definitely coming through. Like, it's definitely playing. But it might be that I put it on a different track. Is it on a different track? It is on a different track. It's on track 2. And the stream only has access to which track? I can't see which track the stream is looking at. All right, I'm going to assume it's because it's on track 2. I'm going to go ahead and just switch this. Hold up. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder, Lucretius. You said be careful it won't blow our ears off. Thank you. Thank you. I lowered it to like negative 30 dB, so you should be good. All right, you can hear it now? I think you should. Yeah, now you can hear music. Okay, that explains it. I was like, what in the world? Why can't? I thought that somebody was just like, they had their music, the sound too low. I was like, okay, well maybe the music is dumb low, super low, and now you're, listening to me super low, and you can't hear it. Classic stream music. There we go. Vibes are back to normal, as they should be. Indeed. All right, so we will do this. Render server. Render. Okay. And then when we go over here, we want to also say this. Whoops. Now we probably want to I guess we'll do it like this. If info.sector rendering, otherwise we'll just do this. We'll say text. There we go. So if you're not rendering the sector, then we just do this. If you are, we'll do this. I guess we could just do it like this. Let's do it like this. Snow Minx with $2 donations that says, "Does this work? LOL." It does. Thank you for the $2. Well appreciated. Thank you very much. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we should be able to do something like this. Is it BE for boom? Or let's see, wrong type bool. Can you give me this? Boolean T for true or false. Okay. Music Boy says, "I'm watching the stream while washing my dishes." I don't know why I find that funny. It's just well, I'm glad I'm able to accompany you on this journey of yours. Okay, so visible current sector. S. Okay, well, something like this should kind of get us there. Oh, I think, yeah, this won't work. Well, why won't this work, actually? It has no exported fields. No exported fields. Why wouldn't this work? Oh, I guess if hold on a second. That's part of it. That's a problem. I don't think that's the problem we're facing, but that's a problem. Oh, is that an emote of someone looking, like, holding eyes? I can't even. I think it's like holding eyes. Okay, I'm not like, what the heck? Oh man. Okay, hold on. Wait, I can make my own emotes. Maybe I should make my own emotes. That seems like a good idea. Tetra3D.node has no exported fields. That is incorrect. You totally do have exported fields. Don't be like this. Current sector just returns current sector, yeah. Alright, let's see, hold on. Wait. The caption for the emote says hand orange covering eyes. Okay. Okay. All right. Carl says, I'm debugging stuff in my 2D game. How nice. How nice. Everybody's doing stuff. What's your game about, Carl? Give me the deets. What are you debugging right now? Okay, that works. Oh, is it because it's a terminal? I mean, a pointer? I guess that's why it's a pointer. Yeah, that won't be able to work. It can't send a pointer across a network. How would you like dereference a pointer? That makes sense. Okay, that must be what it is. Yeah. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to know what sectors are visible and what the current sector is. That's all we need. So the sector is just a string, and the neighbors are just going to be a slice of strings, and we'll just go with that, I guess. That's fine. This is in the server, yeah. So name packet.sector. Oh. Neighbors equals string or in range packet.sector. What's this? Sector dot neighbors within range. Server dot T3D camera sector render depth. Target dot sector neighbors equals append in dot. This is at in dot model name. Okay. All right, so something like that, and then backdoor. Undo this. Carl says it's a factory game. There are bugs with linking inputs and outputs between objects, conveyor belts. It feels like linking things is kind of like the #1 problem. The #1 bug in game dev is just like linking objects to other objects, adding objects to hierarchies, removing objects from hierarchies, moving objects within a hierarchy, pointing from one object to another, like doors or teleporters between maps or between points in a map. That, like, it feels like that is like probably the #1, or maybe not #1, maybe number like 4 bug on Earth. Like #1 in game dev might be just null pointer exceptions, whereas like it's not there but you expect it to be, and just that's it. Carl says, for a bit I thought I was doing something dumb with a pointer. Nope, exactly. That's every time is like, is the pointer like empty? Is the pointer like, I don't know, nil, or is it pointing to nothing, but I'm calling a function on a pointer, and so the function runs as though the pointer existed when it doesn't exist? No. That's kind of something that is interesting that I'm not sure if it's intentional, which is basically you can run a function on a pointer that is nil. So like if you have a type, let's say this is just a type of like, let's say it's a player, is a struct, and you say like func player, we'll say like, it doesn't matter. The player doesn't actually have to like have any data in the struct. So let's just give an example like this. You can do this, right? So this is a player struct. It create a new player, creates a new player. Update calls, it basically prints out I've updated as the player. You can go ahead and be like var player dot update, and this will work. It won't be like player doesn't exist. It'll try to run it, because a pointer to basically player in this instance is a pointer, and the pointer is nil, but that's still a valid, like the code is valid. So like you could do this, not set player, call update or whatever function on it, and it won't give you a nil pointer. It'll just run the function as though the object had been instantiated. We can actually look at this. Yeah, I think this will work. Let's see. I think this will work. Let me see. I think it's working, but actually maybe we have to do it like this. No. I think it's working. It's just it's invisible. I should have done this on a Go playground. Anyway, well, I'll do it on a Go playground so that I don't. Cause now I'm interested to see if I'm an idiot. But I think this is correct. I think this is how this actually works. Yeah, okay, so this shows what I mean. So we can be like, we don't even have to have the new function. So you can be like player struct player, an update on the player pointer, and then you can not initialize the player pointer and just call update, and it will still actually run because you never access the player, so that you never access the player and like do something with it. So like nil is a valid player pointer. So that's bad because like, let's say you were making a multiplayer game and you create 2 player objects and you're like, okay, I created 2 player objects. Why is player 1 equal to player 2? Maybe it's because player 1 and player 2 were never instantiated. So you could say, for example, in this example, player.update, right? And you say, okay, P2 is also a player.p2.update. All right, there's no issues. So tell me if player is equal to P2. It'll say it is because the 2 pointers are the same. Because you never created them in the first place. So even though player.update is calling and P2.update is calling, player is equal to P2 because you never set the pointers in the first place. So they're equal. They're both nil. So they're equal. So like that stuff like that, that's kind of wild. I'm not sure that's a go. Like if there's ever a reason to use a nil pointer in a function dedicated or tied to a struct pointer, but it's a little crazy. It's a little nutty. All right. Carl says I should stop writing new log lines and use the debugger. It's faster. Knowing when to use the debugger over logging is tough. Lucretia says, how does Tetra3D communicate with the game? It does so remotely. It does so using local host connection, peer-to-peer. So basically, it's remote. It doesn't have to be this specific game. You could just basically create a terminal object in your Tetra3D game, update it, and then you run Tetra3D and they connect. It's an automatic process. It runs over port 8080, I think, something like that. But you can change it, so it's kind of dope. Lucretius says, in my language, nil is its own type. What do you mean in your language? You made a language, Lucretius? An object is an object. Nil is just nil. I just implemented a union system though that allows you to define object or nil types. You created it similar to Crystal. You created a language. I gotta see it, dude. How are you gonna make a language? A work in progress. Nah. He's talking about work in progress. It's a the best things are works in progress. You gotta show me, dude. Where's the GitHub repo? Where's the learn X in Y minutes page? I need to learn Lucretius's language. Call it Lucretius. Call it delicious. Oh, I'm interested. I am intrigued in your language. A delicious language. I need to. I'm salivating. I need to. I'm interested in digging in deeper. Right now, I just have assigns. You can't just be like, well, in my language. I gotta hear it, dude. I'm interested. But yeah, whenever you put it out there, even in like a 0.01, like this is not to be used for public consumption level, like let me know. I'm interested. I gotta see this. It's not every day someone makes a language. Okay, so yeah, sector is just the name now. So sector, okay. So I guess we could just say info sector. Packet.sector is this. Let's see. That's what I forgot to do. There we go. I don't know why I was completely forgetting. I'm getting distracted. Carl, Lucretia says it's over. Video coming. Also, my language does exist. You can write it anytime you want. I just don't have a compiler yet. That's true. This man got me on the, well, technically the language exists even if you can't compile it. Technically you can speak Spanish even if you don't understand what you're saying. You don't have a compiler, but you can still write the language. That's true. I can look at, give me your whenever you're ready, let me know. I was gonna say, like, give me your language spec. There's no reason to go that hard on this joke. But yeah, I'm interested. Like, I'm always interested in new languages. Zig, it's not for me, I don't think, but I like love to see new languages. Jai, whenever that comes out in 2549, we'll see if we can get a public beta. Although I'm interested in Jai. Crystal looks great. Ruby re-envision for compiled languages. That's dope. The one Ginger Bill is making, that's his username. Oh man, I can't believe I've forgotten. Well, V, that's one. That's not the one he was working on. Odin and VLang, both of those are interesting. So like, I'm interested in other languages. Go is great, but I'm also interested in any like simple languages, especially ones that are kind of supposed to be tuned for game development, like V is supposed to be, and Odin I think also. Okay, so let's go back. I'm getting so incredibly tripped up. Lucretia says, I want a statically typed scripting language. Yeah, I could see the utility. I was gonna say why, but then I'm like, I never use dynamic typing anyway. So yeah, like, if it means it's faster, definitely. If it's not, like, a scripting language should be able to take advantage of the fact that a variable is not dynamic to run faster. And I would definitely prefer that over a dynamically typed language, because you never use dynamic typing. That's like, not never, but I feel like it can be considerably more difficult to try to make a game or any trivial program and like take advantage of dynamic typing. It feels like why would you not? Like, it's an interesting idea to be dynamic, but it feels like there's very specific situations. There's very specific situations where you would want to do dynamic typing. Very specific. Lucretia says, I want, or rather, almost all errors caught at compiler time, better optimization and faster. Yeah, I don't know why it's not more popular. I don't know. I think that people kind of like expect scripting languages to be dynamic, and I don't see why. There's never, in my mind, a reason to do dynamic languages, especially when it's like, I feel like if you're gonna do a dynamic language, then you gotta lean in full. You gotta go for a full send on it. Like you can't be let me do a dynamic language and then make a function that allows you to check to see if a variable exists. It's well, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well just have a like a dynamic language should be if a name is in an object, then act like here's an object. And then you say if, and let's say there's a function in it, or you can say object.update. You should be able to say if update in object, right? That's the kind of dynamic scripting language I would kind of expect to see. If you're going to do this and then be if object.has function update, it's well, if you're going to do that, just make everything static. If it's going to be you have functions for, 95% of the language specification where you're not using dynamic typing or things like that, just go with statically typed language. There's no reason to over design. It's okay to just be static and just be just type, make a variable for everything you need, and then that's it. I'm so distracted. I'm sorry. All right. Other sectors. I don't know quite how to do this. Sector. All right, something like this should kind of get us there. It took 2 hours to do it. I'm sorry. Lucretia says dynamic languages are either easier to implement and stuff code-wise. Oh, really? SAG demands a lot more code. I guess that makes sense. Lua is well known for having a small code base, and their language spec is 10 lines long. That's true. Although I definitely do not like. Got it. I definitely do not like Lua's table system. I know I've talked about this before, but I just do not like it. I'm sorry. I just don't like it. All right. So we'll see if this works. Terminal. Well, let's do this first. Go build dot and go back to example. We want to see what does this work without any sectors. Okay. Does this work without any sectors? Yes. Should it say sector rendering? No, I think it should. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Excuse me? Pardon me? No, yeah, this is the terminal side. Okay. Info.sector rendering. Okay. Oh, I said go build. I meant go install. That's my bad. It's just like I despise Lua. I hate it. It's like just have objects at some point. Lua really wants dictionaries to be the only data structure. Yeah, I feel like I like the idea of dictionaries being objects. Although once you get to the point of like, are two dictionaries the same? And it's like, well, if you're talking about objects, no. But if you're talking about dictionaries, sure. Like, you know, if you have a dictionary that contains 3 keys and 3 values, and those 3 keys and values are the same in 2 dictionaries, then they are equivalent. But if you're talking about objects, then they're referencing 2 different dictionaries and they are not the same. Keep them separate. Like, these are 2 separate concepts. To just be like, well, let's just pretend like they're the same. It's like, they're not though. They're not. I think that what Lua should have done is probably make a object like function that converts a dictionary to an object that is essentially the same thing. You can just, you know, you can make a dictionary and then you call a function on it to turn it to an object, or call a function named object and supply a dictionary to turn it into an object reference. That is essentially the same. You know, you still, the code to access the object's properties or set it or whatever are all the same, but there's a fundamental difference in the way that you understand it and in the way that the compiler works. Also, I probably would have added lists as a separate data type, because no, I don't like that you can like loop through a Lua data structure, a Lua dictionary, and it's like, oh, it can be an array if you like pray, if you just hope, if you just like, you know, if you make it a certain way and you don't remove anything, then it'll loop through in sequential order. But if you remove an item, now it's like, who knows what'll happen. It's like, and yeah, indices do not need to begin at 1. There's no reason to do that. All right, anyway, they try to optimize for it, and it's like, no, I just want an array. Yeah, like, just give me an array. Just like, you know, I don't mind. Like, I'm a big boy. Give me an array. Like, you know, I can handle an array. Give me a slice. Give me a list. Like, you know, why make it where it's like, no, use this dictionary and just pretend it's an array. It's like, why would I do that? Like, why not just give me an array? Okay, so let me try this again. Okay, so we're disconnected. Oops. Okay, sector rendering false. Cool. All right, so there's no sector rendering in this scene. What we'll do, I think we'll like do something like that. Oh, we already have sector rendering. Okay. Here. Current sector name, sector. Okay. So this should work. So we will go to terminal. How many times have I misspelled terminal just in this one session alone? Okay. Oh, this won't work, will it? Because sector rendering. I have to update the Tetra term. I will just replace it for now. Okay, so it's working. So now we know that sector rendering is true. We want this to be on a new line. Current sector is an outdoors map. So let's make those changes before I forget, or I get distracted again. We'll put this over here, So this can be a new line, this can be a new line. There we go. Okay. Okay, better. So we probably want it to be a space here, and we want each new sector to be, I mean, I don't know if I want the sectors to be listed. I'm trying to see how we want to do this. We probably should convert it from a set, which is just a map, to a slice, so that we can sort it alphabetically. That way it doesn't jump around like that. So let's do that. Fez says, I'm not sure if you talked about it before, but how's the term connected to the game? I talked about it a little bit in the video and earlier today when Lucretius asked the same thing. But just to, you know, and that's not to, you know, be rude or anything. I'm just, you know, since you asked, like, you know, not sure if you talked about it before. I'm just letting you know where I did. But basically, they're connected through TCP communication. So it's using a library, a Go library that I found that is fortunately pretty simple, Golang P2P. So it's connecting to the other program talking through port like 8000 or 8080 or 7945 or something. So you can customize the port, but they're connected remotely. So I don't have to start them together. I can leave one running and then start the other, and it just works. All right, so yeah, we want to sort this and we want a space. Okay, so let's do that. So this should be that. Fez says, I assumed you would be using a TCP connection, and yeah, I had to leave for a bit, so thank you. Oh, no problem. It's working pretty good. Like, it took some, like, you know, engineering to kind of understand how it works, because I've never done networking stuff before, but it turned out really good. It's still not perfect, but it turned out really good. Okay, so neighboring sectors. Yeah, so neighboring sectors. Oh, it's already a slice. Yeah, it's already a slice. So we can just say info.sector neighbors slice.sort or sort dot sort dot strings. There we go. There we go. All right, so now we're in sector outdoors map, and we have neighboring sectors. We have cube.005, cube.006, and old map, so 4. So 1, 2, 3 over here, and 4th is up there. Okay, that's correct. We can rename these so that it's not so obtuse, but this will be the courtyard. This will be the entrance. This will be the stairwell. This will be the overhang. Save. There we go. Cube. Oh, this one? Small one? Storage. Save. Carl Otto says, my one complaint with Go is map randomization can't be disabled for speed. You mean it's slower for... Wait, do you mean that it's slower because the map is randomized? Or if you don't mind it being slower and to have a first in, first out kind of thing? Because if it's slower because the map is randomized, yeah, that's wild. I would definitely disable that. I would much rather have first in, first out, or... I mean, I would even rather have the map be randomized at time of insertion, where it just gets inserted at some point in the map, and at least it stays stable over just constantly shifting. Anyway, all right, so we're in the courtyard sector, and we have some dudes. We have some dudes that are next to us. That's cool. Now we're in the entrance, and the only neighboring sector is the courtyard. So this specifically is the visible sectors. Okay, so it would be neighboring visible sectors. Yeah, so courtyard and overhang. Very cool, very cool. So from here, we wouldn't be able to see the other sector, the other doorway. We wouldn't be able to see through it. Let's get back over here. We'll say this is neighboring visible sectors. What else? Actually, yeah, I would like to say D. There we go. Hold up. Why does it say 44? Neighboring visible sectors. 44? Oh, whoops. Neighboring sectors is a string. That's right. Oh, well, just info.sector neighbors, yeah. There we go. Mostly stays the same, but could change if it changes bucket size. Opinionated language. Yeah, opinionated. They intentionally randomize it so you won't rely on it being in order by mistake. Yeah, I think I would rather definitely have a... Yeah, I would definitely rather the map wasn't randomized. And I feel like that was... I feel like that could also impact sets. Like if you're using a map like a set and your map largely does not change size, then doesn't that mean that it would be faster? Like, you know, it could be dramatically faster because the objects are always in the same position. So let's say you're always checking, you know, just, you know, by happenstance, you're always checking, why is it still 11? 44. Is it 11? 44. Why is it 44? 21. What the heck? Let me see. Did I wait? Did I not do this? Because info sector neighbors is a slice of strings, yeah. So length of that, yeah. %d, okay. Let me make sure I restarted this. Okay. There we go. 4 neighboring visible sectors: entrance, overhang, stairwell, storage room, 2 courtyard, and overhang. Okay, that's better. The randomization is fairly quick, but still. Yeah, I definitely would rather it was not like that. Okay, so having sectors like this is working really well. I wish I'd gotten more done. That's not like a knock against chat talking. It's just I haven't streamed in like forever. So for me to, you know, get back going and show what I've been working on and everything, it's taken a while. But I mean, overall, this was a good stream. I've been going for a couple hours. I think what I'll do, I could keep going, but I think what I'll do is maybe just stop here and literally just pick up tomorrow. I'll just pick up tomorrow, Tuesday. Yeah, I'll pick up tomorrow, stream again, and we'll actually make some progress. This is going super liminal. How about this? If anyone has any liminal spaces they'd like to suggest, then toss me a mention over on Twitter, my Discord, or Tumblr, or whatever, because I could use some good... I love me some good liminal spaces. You know what? Let me take a look. I'm not gonna stop here. Let me take a look. Let me pull a Tim Rogers. I'm not gonna stop here. Let me take a look in my liminal spaces folder. I just have a few. What the heck is this? That's not really liminal. Boy, is cooking. I am kind of cooking. Okay, well this is fairly liminal. It's a big plane. Because I think what I want to do, I like this. There's something about being in a diner or like a restaurant or something at night that like, and when it's empty. I went to one recently, like a restaurant. I just ate by myself at like 11 p.m. and it was just like, it was super liminal. It was like, I was like, where is everyone? And then this is just creepy. Okay. I like this. This is kind of a little bit of this. We don't have to limit ourselves to just one picture though. I mean, just one idea. We don't have to implement it. A parking lot is kind of interesting. How about that? How about we make a little parking lot? Let's make a parking lot out here. Let me save this. Hold on, actually. I think we're good with Tetra term. We can close that. Let me take a look here. Yeah, I'm just gonna make a quick commit here. A bit of a catch-all commit. Okay. Yeah. Now, yeah, let's go ahead and make a parking lot here. I think it'd be cool. Start with a cube. Actually, it doesn't have to be a cube. We can just start with a plane. That's more likely. Oh, what if we had like sliding doors? Would it come in here? Yeah, you could come in here. You could come in this little area. Is that right? I think that's the right size. I think all the doors are like 3 units large in here. There we go. Key projection, give me 4. Okay. Yeah, this could be good. This could be good. So this is the doorway. We'll start from here. So this is the doorway. Okay. Oh, it goes in. Okay. All right. So that is the doorway. Do we want to do like? I guess we can make it like a little bit of an entrance. Yeah. Let's make this even a little bit more interesting. Let's make this a little bit more interesting. So this will be like an entrance area. And then here will be another sector. This is the parking lot area, the left. Yeah. This is walled off. Yeah, okay. I said 3 is the maximum. Yeah. That. Give me a face. Cut this out. Okay. Now here's the parking lot. Okay, so this is... Oh. Yeah, that's right. So this is it. So these are going to be walls, essentially. So we're going to make it kind of curved. Okay, we're gonna move the player. Where is he at? Is he up here? I think he's over there. Yeah, let's grab. Is that him? That is him. Okay, let's grab him, move him over here. I can't find him. Okay, there we go. Now that I'm looking at it, it seems like it's a little bit small. Let's make it a little bigger. Wait. 17. There we go. All right, and we'll make this triangle mesh, make it solid. Check that off. We can copy this. It's a sector. Copy that. Copy this. Oops. Yeah, okay, cool. Save. Export this. We can turn on export on save now. Let's run this. I can't see. Okay, so here's a good example. Here's a good situation. We can't. Huh. Okay. We can't. That's weird. Hold on. I'm not sure if I can actually navigate my way in here because sector rendering is off. But basically, there was animations this entire time and they were bugged, but now they're showing up. So that's cool. I'll figure out what's going on there later. Okay. So this is the parking lot. So we'll just name this parking lot for now. And then this will be hallway. So this could be just kind of a creepy hotel. We will go with cement floor for now. Cube projected. Give me a cube projection, cement floor. Okay, cool. Save. Let's see. So yeah, I think the issue here is that it's sector-based rendering, but as you can see, this is a flat room, a flat area. So this is a situation where I would need some sort of control for sectors, where we can set maybe a maximum height or something like that, or minimum height or something. So there's two ways we could do this. I'm trying to think of a situation where you would want oh wait, Carl says for readability I've started using negative if statements. Oh, so I can have few nested if statements as possible. Oh, I see what you mean. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to see, because I have two ways to go about this. One is to make a control for customizable height, so we can just be like, oh, the height is like, you know, 50 units tall or something. Or we can make it so that the sector size entirely is customizable, which is better, but you really, in this case, I would only really want to customize the height. I guess it doesn't really matter because we're gonna make walls here, so it doesn't matter because we're gonna do this. So it's not a big deal, but there we go. Cool. Ground is all fricked up. Let's make sure we auto subdivide the faces. Ground's better. Okay. All right, so it's getting there. This we also need to subdivide. Save. There's a wall here. I thought I deleted it. Is it? Did I not? Let me see. I did not. Okay. Let's delete this. Cool. All right, so we can look at our terminal. We're in the parking lot, and we can go into the entrance and the entrance hall. Those are the two neighboring sectors, so we can see the entrance here. So we might, with this system the way it is, we could either make it so that when you're in here, you only see the, like you can't see the parking lot. I'm sorry, you can't see the entrance. Or we can maybe add a window where you could see, you could look in. It's something we could do. So now we're in the entrance hall. We have the entrance in the parking lot. That looks pretty cool. Let me make it big. Yeah, okay, so this is working pretty good. We need a ceiling here. All right, let's go ahead and keep working on it. I need some sort of carpet. I think I might actually just kind of crib some stuff that I made for a different game. Because I don't have any carpet texture or anything like that. And rather than like trying to figure it out, I might just take those textures, which were pretty good. I'm gonna do that because I don't have anything else to do. So why not? This was a cruise ship. There it is. We will take really, well, we don't need to take all of them. We just can take these. Well, maybe not that one. Tile could be good. Not that one, actually. Rotten wood. I don't really think we need it, but I guess it can't hurt. Yeah, I'll take these. I'll take these here. We could also use something for pavement. So I went ahead and grabbed some public domain like textures. So I think I should have something that's like a pavement or asphalt. Do I? No. We don't. Okay, well that makes it easy for us. Let's find it. For this, I'm just grabbing textures from Open Game Art and things like that, because I don't particularly care to draw, like make all the textures. So I'm just gonna be like super basic. I'm just gonna be a basic game dev and just grab textures that are CC0. Oh, this is CCBY. That's attribution. I have to attribute. Okay. This is CC0. Okay. I will grab this. Okay. I'll still need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do for the lines. Not quite sure what I'm going to have to do for the lines on the sides of the parking lot, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm just gonna put these here real quick. Let me just do this. Let me see here. I just want to make sure I'm doing something off screen. I know I'm not visible right now. Okay. Okay, so I think this is the one that was CCBY. I can't actually go back. Asphalt. No, which one is CCBY? Was it this one? It was this one. Okay, so it is this guy. Okay. CCBY. There we go. So we got some textures. I got some textures. I'm just gonna use, where is the real asphalt texture pack? I feel like this is like clearly just photoshopped on, which is fine. Yeah, asphalt. Yeah, this is fine. All right, we'll go with this one. Let's open it with GIMP. Carl Otto says, I started using an AI image generator, and we're going to scale this down to be 64 by 64 for maximum pixelness. That's way too small. Oh, it tiles already. Okay. We're just going to grab a, oops. We're just going to grab a piece of it. Give me a 256 or 256 square. That's close enough. Scale this down to 64 by 64. That's still almost unrecognizable. Give me like a, maybe I should just grab a 64 by 64 square, because we can always make it bigger. That's true. Crop to selection. Although if it tiles, nah, it's way too small. Give me like, let's go for 128 by 128. Crop to selection. Scale it down. That's better. That's more recognizable. Although the color is kind of harsh, we're gonna clean this up a little bit. We can just kind of like kind of squash it a little bit, so it's not so. I guess we could squash it this way. Well, let's squash it this way, because you can always make it darker. We'll even it out, or something like that. Well, no, because if it's a tile, no, it'll be its own material. Yeah, so we can make it darker, or we can make it darker if we want. We can't make it lighter, so let's go ahead and try it like this. Something like that. I mean, like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for that. That's fine. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for this. Oh, that PNG. Yeah, but Carl started using AI for art, for game assets. I understand. I mean, like, it's hotly debated, right? Actually, let's grab one of these little lights, move them outside. Hotly debated because it's like, you're replacing people's jobs, and how dare you? And I get that, and it's stealing resources as well, or it's been trained on resources, and it's like, well, they didn't give the okay for that, so I completely understand. And from that perspective, it's not okay. But on the flip side, it's like, I could understand why someone might use it, because it's like, to make assets yourself can be extremely time consuming if you're doing it by yourself. You might not even really be making a game that is you might not even be making a game that is largely what's the word, like, it benefits from really good art. Like, if you're making a game that's a roguelike, a turn-based roguelike, you might be like, I just need one frame of a golem standing at a 3/4 perspective. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be big, it just needs to be like a 64 by 64 sprite, or 128 by 128 sprite. So whatever it comes up with, I'll shrink it down, and as long as it's quasi recognizable as what it's supposed to be, it doesn't have to look good, it just has to be what it is. So I can understand some, different people's kind of perspective. I think I'm of the Hold on. Let's go with something like that. See how that looks. I think I'm of the perspective and opinion that, like, you know, you. Oh, this actually looks pretty good. Kind of feels like Minecraft, but yeah, this looks pretty good. I'm not sure why the animation just started working, but I'll gladly take it. I don't remember. There was an issue where they just weren't like working, and now they are. I don't know. All right, well that's pretty good. This part we can make something else. We'll make it we'll use the same cement wall texture that we've been dealing with. It could be a little big. How do we want to do this? I mean, we could do something like that, and this comes here. Cube 4. Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to see. There we go. That's what I'm looking for, I think. Butler Studio says, interestingly enough, I know a few artists who animate in Adobe After Effects who use ChatGPT to build the scripts, but it's like AI art. It's like, you can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Carl Otto says, few people can code and also are an artist like SolarLune. To say I'm an artist is a little bit, I appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm a little bit far from a true artist. I would say I'm fine, but I'm not like dummy good. I'm not dummy good. I'm just a guy. So we're gonna use this to make stalls here. I'm not sure how good this is gonna turn out, but I want this to be a square, so something like that. Yeah, this may not work out. We'll see. Something like that. Okay, we're gonna use the auto subdivide on this. Maximum edge length of 2. Save. We're gonna raise this up a little bit. Maybe this will work. We'll see. Do we have just a white? White, yes. Let's see. I just left this running. Excuse me? That looks really good. That's dumb crisp. Okay. Like, I'm just like, oh, yo, what? Excuse me? Yeah, that's good. Average frame time, it's a little high. It's like 8 milliseconds, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the lighting as well. We have, yeah, like 2 milliseconds of lighting. We can definitely cut that down by only making the lights, we have to fix that, only making the lights take effect. Actually, I'm not sure why it dips at all. We should probably just make it normal height. Only make the lights take effect in the room that it, I mean, we could bake the lights, really. This is a first-person game. You're not going to really be carrying anything outside. Yeah, this is actually kind of like giving vibes. It's serving vibes right now. I'm kind of impressed. How big is a car? How do we do this? Well, we'll need to make a car. That's the only way to do it. So let's do it. I guess you gotta have cars in the parking lot. Come on. Like you can have maybe most stalls be unoccupied, but you gotta have at least one car. Like at least a couple. We're gonna turn off export on save real quick because we're gonna need to save over and over again. Carl Otto says as he works on a game with his assets and his music in the background while streaming at the same time. He's a triple threat. I don't know about that. I think the triple threat is like heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Is that the triple threat? Am I right? Did I win? Is that right? I don't know how big a car is. If you're standing, a car comes up to your neck, right? Or to me. I'm not that tall. That's ridiculous. How big is it? How big is a car, dude? If a person is 6 feet, let's say average, just an average 6 feet, dead stop minimum or maximum. Well, the camera's a little lower, but let's say this is 6 feet, right? So it's 2 units is 6 feet. So a car goes up to here because you can put your arms over the car. So it comes up to here with the curb, but for now we'll just ignore the curb. So a car comes up to like there. I guess I could just look it up. How tall is a car? It says the average car is between 5 and 6 feet high. Okay. On a medium car, your head is like right below the top of the door. I'm a little tall. I'm a little tall. I'm like 6 feet tall. So that's why I'm like, it like comes up to here. That's because I'm 6 feet tall. So the car comes up to here. So I can put my hands over. I can like reach on top of a car. So if it's 5 feet tall, we'll just put it a couple units below. We'll put it like that. That seems fine. Oh wait, do we have is there a car? There's not a car asset on Open Game Art, is there? Do you have any 3D cars? Oh! I can't do it. I can't do the screech that I wanted to do, but they have cars. I don't want to like just take a car. It's one thing to take a texture, but to take like the entire car it feels a little like, why am I even making the game if I'm going to be taking like assets? Like a texture is like, asphalt is asphalt. You don't really need to get super into it, but to take a car is like that. I know that car. I know that muscle car. So I don't know if I want to take the entire thing, but I could at least use it as like what it should look like. Okay. So I think it should be wider. We can definitely do something like this. So this is the top of the car, right? Like we're looking at it. So we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna slice it here. Slice it here. Slice it here. Slice it here. I think we need to slice it. Let me add a mirror. Slice it here. It's a good start, but it definitely looks bad. He's a triple threat, they said. Mom, they said I was a triple threat. You can't do this to me, Mom. You don't understand. They said I was a triple threat. I was... No, you don't understand. They said I was a He said I was triple... No. He said I was a triple threat. You don't understand. They said I was a They said I'm an artist. No, you can't cancel me. No, wait, hold on. There. He said I was triple threat, dude. Okay. I mean, honestly, this isn't half bad. Like, it could be worse. It could be a worse car. It's fine. Like, it's a little obviously blocky, junky car, but at the same time, it's like, all right. You can give me some benefit of the doubt on this one. Yeah, this is bad, but I mean, at the same time, where am I gonna get the texture from? Do I just draw it? We won't go that deep. We'll stop before we get before we lose our minds. I've already lost so much. Okay, so we'll do something like this. Do we want to do that? We can't just add triangles. We need to use the triangles we have effectively. I'm not gonna. Should I cut out the wheels? You know what? Let's not worry too much about it. Well, let's. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Let's add a cylinder for the wheels. Actually, let's do that again. It could be just like. Yeah, 8 is fine. Feels about right. That was a triple threat. You don't understand. The people on the internet said I was a triple threat. You don't know how rare it is to be called a triple threat. I believed in myself. Alright, so this will be a car. We'll call this a car. Oh, that's what, yeah, we can turn it off. Alright. Animation. Make sure we don't have a... Let's reload. It has a nice brutalist just tall. Just tall. It's got a certain je ne sais quoi. It looks like a Playmobil. Oh man. I'm gonna be honest, moving the tires under the car like saved it. Like it looks recognizably a car now. We'll see how bad this is because I'm like, well, maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe it'll be better than anticipated. We will just color these dark. Oops, vertex paint. Look at it. Look at our little dude. Look at our little car. Hold on, you can see it. I'm not sure why we can't see the color here. We can see it here. Oh, I see, because all of them are selected. Okay, so that's what it's gonna look like. My gosh. Like, I'm so sorry, guys. I let you down. Alright. We'll call this a car. car. We'll call it a car. We'll call it a car and call it a day. Let's move back to our scene. I think it's too like everything. It's too small, it's too big, it's too everything, but for now we'll add our car and see. Let's go back actually. I want to see if we can make it AABB, and I don't think we have to auto subdivide on this. This can be solid. All right, go back to scene, and we should be good. we should be good to go. We should be good to go. All right. Oh, we have to apply the mirror. Don't I have apply modifiers on? I feel like I do. Okay, apparently not. Export scene. But isn't there a apply modifiers or something? Export apply. There it is. Export apply. True. Okay. Well, apparently that's not working, so we'll have to apply modifiers for this dude. I'm trying to see what collection is there. There we go. So this is the backup car. The original. We'll just apply the mirror for now. Okay, let's go back to the scene. Let's export it. Let's take a look. Let's see what it's like to be in the shadows. Oh no. I'm honestly though, it could be worse. That's the thing that's kind of wild, is that it actually isn't that bad. It has a very early 3D look to it. Like, now that I think about it, this could be really good if you made a game that looked like this, like completely unshaded with this kind of like, you know, massive triangle issue, you know, sorting issues, and you made it themed like an early 3D instructional video, like if you've ever seen the, like, I don't know if analog horror is the right term, but basically, you know, like VHS, 80s, early 90s, you know, that kind of like staticky, like, you know, welcome to your new job. To enter, go through the front door. The next thing you should do is always say hello to Wilma at the front desk. Hello, Wilma. Like, just like super like low res. Like, now that I'm looking at this, I kind of feel like you could do the whole thing without any textures. Vaporwave says analog horror fans when they see something that isn't 4K 60. Basically, this actually is pretty good. This, I feel like it's maybe not long enough, and I think the height is actually not bad. I think because our height, like the camera is low by a little bit. I think this isn't bad in terms of scale for a car. I feel like you should be able to jump on a car and then jump out, jump over a wall. That seems like about the right height. Nah, I think the wall would need to be shorter. Need to be shorter. That makes these lights look massive now. I think the lights need to be smaller. I'm getting money for nothing video vibes. I think, yeah, I feel like this, I'm looking at this now, I'm like, man, I kind of like how like bad this is. and like the game could just be intentionally look, it could intentionally look like this, where it's just like super unshaded, and that's the game. And you wouldn't even see the texture, the triangles bending, because it's purely a texture issue, like, you know, texture UVs. If you just made the entire thing vertex colors like this, like you can't tell that the car is bending toward you. It's almost imperceptible. Man, that kind of changes everything now that I think about it. Like, what if we did? Let's just see. What if we did? What would it look like if we just said we want everything to be the same texture? Actually, hold on. Let me save, export. I just want to make sure. Okay. So yeah, let's just say like everything was white. Grab this, separate it, and then vertex paint it like a dark gray. Oops, I need this. And grab this and vertex paint this dark gray. There we go. Jump scare type of game. I don't know. This kind of like this kind of goes hard. This goes a little hard. The lighting being like vertexy does kind of make it feel more PS1. Like that gives it away, but otherwise, like this kind of does work pretty well, honestly. That kind of is a dope concept. I like that concept. Jump scare type of game, VHS filter, loud screech sound, some unrecognizable entity, your goal. That's basically it. Yeah. I'm not that basic. I'm not a basic fool. I'm not a basic game dev. I'm trying to make art. That's why my car is fine art. Car is fine art. Okay. We can make this smaller now. I think the car is too short. I think it needs to be a little longer by like maybe 0.5. And then maybe a little shorter, but I think that's good for a start. Let's go back. And this is important because this, you know, obviously if we're gonna like have painted lines, we need to know how big the car is before we adjust the lines to match. Give ourselves a little bit more like that, and then like pull it in by a little bit. And then we can just like doop, doop, doop. Okay, so something like this. Oh, this is, I kind of hate this. This is pretty good. I hate it. Why do you park why do you park on the line? Why do you park on the line? Yeah, this is pretty good. The fog is aggressive. Yeah, I like it. Oh, we forgot to enable this. auto subdivide. Is it not? Oh, huh? Did I, why was it all janky? Why was the ceiling janky? Oh, oh, I must not have been able to subdivide that. Interesting. Let's take a look here. Yeah, these edge loops are horrible. Absolutely horrid. This is fine, the wall, but then the ceiling's messed up. I wonder if it's because, oh, yeah, it just completely falls apart here. You can see why. But there's a reason why it's falling apart. Like, this is like a just Blender mesh face where it's just like a nonsensical face. Like, there's no edge loops here, so we need to actually like try. We can't just like, yeah, we can't just like we have to try. That's literally it. We have to try. So we might be able to just do this, and then like, can we flip the faces? And then merge the vertices. And then unwrap cube. Export. Does that work? Yes, please. Vaporwave says mystery game. Yeah, that's basically what I'm going for. More so as a mystery game. Yeah, that's better. Okay. All right. Well, that was pretty good. We managed to get a pretty good amount of things done. Yeah, that's pretty good. We got a car. We got a couple cars. We got a parking lot. It's kind of creepy. We need some trees and like walls or something to keep the player from just leaving. Draw distance is approach is honestly, this is better draw distance than I kind of ever thought I would be able to get. Honestly, like, to be able to like go from, to be able to go from here and like have a draw distance that far is like, yo, that's not bad. Kind of feel like you move a little fast, by the way. Let me tweak this a little bit. I feel like the max speed should be maybe a little bit slower. I don't know if I want to run, but feels like the main character's always like moving way too quickly. This is a little better. Now the animation's gone again. Like, now the bob as the player moves is gone, and the idle animation is gone. Like, they're still in the blend file, but they're not animating. I wonder why. All right, well, that's pretty good. Yeah, it might be good to have the ability to restrict lights to only light things that are in the same sector. Got to figure out how I'm gonna do that exactly, because I like that idea. I'm just not sure how to do it. I guess. Well, I guess it's fine that they like things that are in other sectors, but I think I want it so that um if they are, what is that? The trees rendering. I guess I didn't parent them. If the light is uh parented to a sector and the sector goes dark, the light should also go dark. Currently the light stays on, like the light still exists, because toggling visibility on a mesh is different from toggling a light in terms of visibility. So I think I need to add that functionality where if a sector turns off, then it takes any lights that are parented to it and turns them off as well. But it can't do this like using the publicly available light variable. It needs to do this separately. So anyway, I'll figure that out later. But I mean, honestly, this is pretty good so far. this needs to be a double door. We need a carpet. We need a ceiling texture. We need wall textures that aren't just stone. And this needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, but honestly, this is pretty good. What if we like played with the fog a little bit? I want to see what it would look like if we went and like gave a little bit of a mist, a light mist, and clear color was the same, the exact same. Can I bother you for some clear color? It's way darker, of course. Now that I think about it, that makes sense because there's no light out here. So this could work, but the lighting needs to be brighter, which I don't think I want. I don't think I want it to be bright. Yeah, I don't think I want it to be bright. I think I want it to be dark. I mean, but then again, now I'm kind of feeling like this character walks so slowly. Maybe a smidge faster. Oh, but this kind of has vibes, though. This has vibes, dude. This is kind of vibing. I gotta see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which of these I prefer. Like, I like the, like, look up and it's, like, misting. I like that feel. Where it's like, you're in downtown Seattle. And it's just, like, an amber street light that flickers and hums. Yeah, that would be good. Oh, the fog is so thick, dude. It's like you can't even see to the other end. That's wild. Elevator music. Yeah, I wanted to add an elevator. I was thinking in the main area, an elevator would be cool because then, I mean, just because it would be trivial to add, um, because of the new ray testing system is how I'm moving around and like standing on the ground and stuff. So going up and down floors should be really easy to implement. Entrance and parking lot, entrance hall, parking lot, entrance and entrance hall. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Uh, actually, why is the entrance visible? Are they touching? Is the parking lot touching the entrance? Oh, I guess it is. Because, yeah, it is. So we want to kick it out by one. Like that. I'm like, why is it? We'll kick it out just like that. I was like, why is it so, like, why are we rendering this room when we're not anywhere near it? Now it's just the entrance hall. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you can't see that anymore. Can't go in there. Or can't see in there. So it's just gonna render this when we're out here. You go in here. Now it's rendering this and this room. There we go. Now we go in here. And it's not gonna render the parking lot over there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. All right, well, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLune. It's been real. I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. I'm going to get something to eat. And it's been fun going back to streaming. Yeah, check me out. Check out my streams, my past streams, Tetra3D and other stuff. My past videos. If you want to support development, please check out my Patreon and things like that. Links in the description. And thank you very much for stopping in. Yeah, it's been real. All right, well, Thank you very much. I'll catch you guys on the flip side tomorrow, I guess. Let's do it tomorrow as well. We'll see. We'll see. I'll see if I can make it tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.